By now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the classic Get Laid % Breath of the Wild speedrun. And this got me thinking, how could I replicate this, but in a game that is so much more mediocre? Friends, I'd like to introduce you to the Quest 64 Get Laid % speedrun. Now, the goal of the Breath of the Wild Get Laid % speedrun is to complete a number of quests and spend the night with Paya in her room. However, Quest 64 doesn't have anything like side quests, or quests, actually. So, we're up to do this a different way. As you can see, if you talk to the maid in front of Princess Flora's room, there are some implications that occur. And when you talk to Princess Flora, just the same. So the goal of this speedrun is to make it from Melrose Abbey all the way down to the castle where Princess Flora's room is located and speak to Princess Flora. Let's see how fast we can do this. Alright, so we're all set up and time starts when you hit new game. Alright, first stop, get through this dialogue. He talks for a long time, keeps spamming A. Now for the true challenge. The doors. For those of you who don't know, this is a Nintendo 64 game. I'm doing a little post-run commentary here. This is a Nintendo 64 game. I'm running through an emulator. Therefore, the controls, not the greatest. And, if you don't know Quest 64's unique status as the first RPG ever released on the Nintendo 64, well, that should tell you what you need to know about how up-to-date the technology was. Not only that, at the time this came out, there were less than stellar reviews regarding everything, basically. Most of the reviews you'll find these days basically just go, yes, this game exists, and it was one of the games of all time. You can see there, we had a small issue, where you run into a door for a little bit, and you can't exactly trigger the hit properly, so it won't open the door right away. You don't have to interact, you just have to run into a door at the right angle. And I think a lot of the big mistakes from the run will come from, well, one, hitting the wrong button, like I did just now, and not knowing how to get out. And then, running into doors and just not hitting the right angle, or, you know, really hitting the trigger flag for the doors. You can see here I've got a well-optimized and well-planned out route in mind. And I'm not at all doing this second or third try. I have never beat this game, actually. It's in my list of games to beat. In fact, I'm working on a challenge run video for it right now. Which is how I got the idea to just kind of do this commentated speedrun, because I think it's fun. You know, and the Get Laid % is a classic Breath of the Wild run. When I found myself in Princess Flora's bedroom, not like that, while I was exploring looking for healing items, because this game has a very strange shop system I'll come back to. I was like, you know, this is very similar to how I picture the Get Laid % Breath of the Wild speedrun. Alright, here we run into the next big issue of the run. Random battles. Just like most RPGs, you're going to run into a lot of random battles while you're in the overworld. Won't happen in cities. But, unlike most turn-based RPGs, this one takes place on the overworld map. You know, it doesn't put you into a different map just to do random battles. You know, it's kind of like Chrono Trigger in that way. But our main strategy for the random battles here is to just run away. Because right now, our magic is really weak. You know, it takes a lot of upgrading and time to do. So I decided not to do that, and just run past everything. And you'll see this is actually a very viable strategy, especially because we've got enough health here at first. Just kind of tank the hits from the 8 to 10 random battles that might spawn up between the opening city, Melrode, and the next city that I can't pronounce. But Quest 64, game full of strange quirks. For example, the shop system doesn't really exist. You just get any item you want for free, as long as you don't have one already. Alright, that last battle demonstrated a bit of upgrade that came mid-run, and that was just aiming for the closest escape boundary. So as you look at the random battles, you'll see that they come in these little octagonal boundaries. And the only way to escape a battle is to just get outside that octagonal boundary. So there, it's just beeline for the closest side and run. You'll see that again here, where I actually run backwards in an attempt to get to the escape faster, because that means I have more time running naturally. We escape that battle, we head on. See, the fun part about this run is that it is essentially doable as a complete pacifist run. Look at this, right? You know, right back out, and I keep going on my way. I do not do a single attack in this entire run. You can tell that the house means we're getting close right here. We're coming up on a fork in the road normally, but I'm going to just cut across as soon as we get there. And that sign is the sign of the fork. So we get through this one more random battle real quick, just by skipping outside the line. Had to analyze there for a second, had to stop. And the nice thing about the battle system here is that you can actually react during most of the enemy's attacks. But we're going here, we're going to cut straight across the field, which is considered a little more dangerous because of, I believe the enemies have a higher chance to spawn while you're in grass areas, not on the path. I could be completely wrong about that. I know very little about this game. But, cut across the grass, you know, to escape. And cut across the grass, you know, get into the city. You know, this is, and here we're coming up with that issue again, where it's just hard to get in the doors in this town. This is the last, second to last major obstacle, is just navigating this little town. You know, a lot of the complaints about the game are graphics, and the graphics are very samey. Luckily, I've run this route a few times, so I know where I'm going. And we're at the castle already. I'm hoping for a sub 7-minute run. That's my goal here. We're not too far from that 7-minute mark. But here's the last major thing. Oh, and there's the doors again. Here's the last major, like, optimization in my route that I can consider. Aside from going in the wrong door. That was a fatal mistake. Oh. Now we go up the stairs, because Princess's room is on the second floor. Go out. See, aside from getting rid of that, you know, absolute mistake of going into the wrong room, we could have gone up on the other side and been closer, instead of having to run across. And I think we could cut a few seconds out there if I did the run again. So we're getting into the room. Ignore the maid. And it's done. That's the run, folks. 6:53, or 6:35, and 66 milliseconds. That is potentially world record, because I don't think anyone else has done this run. Thank you. I'll see you next time.